Hi guys, my name is Kaylee Alvarez, and this is my presentation for human sexuality. The device that I received was the male condom, so that's what we're going to be discussing. According to our textbooks, a male condom is a thin sheath of latex, which is rubber, polyurethane, which is plastic, or animal tissue that is placed over an erect penis prior to or during intercourse. The people who specifically use this method is going to be males. We're just discussing the male condom in particular here. However, women can choose, to use them or bring them or whatever. When it comes to the method, it's definitely a barrier method of contraception. The condom creates this sort of barrier that's going to prevent sperm from infiltrating the woman's reproductive tract. This is going to help prevent pregnancy. However, the male condom is also used for protection against STIs. Most people are going to use condoms mainly for the contraceptive purposes, but some people did report using them only for and strictly for protection against those STIs. The method of contraception is definitely more suitable for short term. They're not reusable, so you have to use a new condom for every act of intercourse that is partaken in. Luckily, though, they are very inexpensive. Most condoms are purchased in packages ranging anywhere from 3 to 12 in the pack. They're less expensive when purchased in the pack. It's kind of like buying in bulk. Not that they're expensive anyways, because the cost per condoms can range down to as little as 20 cents up to, $2.50 each. And some health facilities, like Planned Parenthood, do offer condoms for free. So they're very easy to receive and go get. When it comes down to what is ultimately different or unique about the male condom, I think that personally, the convenience, simplicity, and the price are all things that are going to go into what is both different and unique about this method. They're available to anyone who is trying to purchase them at that low cost, like we discussed, which is going to make condoms a little easier to reach and use, so more people want to use them. Condoms go back pretty far in sexual history, as we all know, so they're unique just for the fact that, even animal tissue can be used to create them, which is just something that it just sounds odd, using animal tissue as a sense of barrier for contraception. When it comes to the variety of condoms, there is a multitude of varieties. You can get them with or without lubrication, with or without spermicide, which are the chemicals that are going to kill the sperm cells that's already in that condom. You can get it with plain or reservoir tips, ultra thin, extra strength, assorted colors, ribbed texture. There's a more snug size, so smaller, and there's also larger sizes. And this is going to even include some of the things that have been brought about, such as flavors. There's assorted flavors, and there's also even glow-in-the-dark condoms. There's more than 100 different brands that are available in the United States, and it just keeps growing. Personally, I think the reason that they make, the flavors or glow-in-the-dark or things that are different is to kind of attract the attention of the youth, because, who wouldn't want to try that, right? So how does my method work here? So you're going to want to use latex or polyurethane condoms only. Natural membrane condoms, that lambskin, have very small pores that may allow disease-causing bacteria or viruses to go ahead and pass through that condom. You'll want to use lubricated condoms, however, not with spermicide. Without proper lubrication during intercourse, that condom could break or tear, and that's going to cause, obviously greater issues. Condoms that are lubricated with spermicide are found that the spermicide chemical could actually cause irritation to the mucous membranes of the vagina or anus, which will actually increase the possibility of an HIV transmission, believe it or not. You'll want to use condoms with a reservoir tip or a nipple on the end. This is going to allow space at the end of the condom to catch any semen upon ejaculation. So there's much less change of the condom either breaking or leaking. You usually want to store condoms in a drawer, medicine cabinet, or something along those lines. I know a lot of people store them in wallets or, like glove compartments, but since it's so confined and they get smashed or it could get hot, it could actually ruin the condom and you won't even know it. And lastly, as I had stated above, you want to use a new condom every time you partake in any active intercourse because they're not reusable. So just make sure that you plan accordingly. When it comes down to overall effectiveness, condoms are going to depend very highly on the proper use of them. When they're used correctly and steadily for vaginal intercourse, they're very effective for preventing pregnancy. It says that there's a 3% failure rate, which, if we break it down, that's going to essentially mean that for a group of 100 couples, 10,400 condoms were used in a year, and only 3 pregnancies had occurred, which is crazy to think about. That's how effective it can be for people who use them. Any failures that come about, a lot of people like to say it's a product failure, but usually it's not a product failure. It's more instead an example of incorrect use. Using condoms the correct way every single time you use them is going to take learning and, quite frankly, some practice here. So I'm going to talk about some advantages and disadvantages of male condoms. One advantage of condoms is, the main fact that this contraceptive device is one of the few forms of birth control that is going to provide a reduction in the transmission of STDs. Most of them don't offer that just because it's not that barrier method. This is very convenient for such obvious reasons. Another pro would be it's inexpensive. That's a huge pro. They're easily obtained. This is super important because it's going to make it more accessible to people, so people are more likely to use them. A con of condoms is that it does require consistent and very diligent use in order to keep the failure rates low. So without practice, things could easily become, a little misconstrued, more of a problem for you. That's why you should definitely always look into things before ever doing anything. And another con would be some men say it dulls sensation. That is a con more for men, I guess. This isn't really a reason not to use condoms. It could make condoms more or less to be used amongst individuals who agree with this, though, which is what makes it a con, because, certain people could talk about how it dulls the sensation, so nobody wants to use it. And you should definitely use a condom for protection regardless of sensation. It'll feel fine regardless. Lastly, I like to think of, if someone was to approach me, if I'm being approached by a friend who's wanting to seek out advice, this device or the method, a major tip that I'm going to personally provide to him or her in order to maximize those chances of the device being effective is do your research on how to properly use a condom. It isn't something that is really taught by someone and is more or less self-taught. In order to avoid that failure or a chance of catching an STI, STD, or becoming or getting someone pregnant, you're going to really need to know how to properly use a contraceptive device. And honestly, it's better safe than sorry when it comes down to this anyways, because it might be a little awkward, transitioning, getting the condom. You might think it might ruin the sexual intercourse, but honestly, it's better to be awkward than to get pregnant or an STD or an STI. So those are definitely things that should always be taken into consideration when discussing condoms. So that's going to conclude my presentation. I hope you guys learned something today about male condoms, and remember, wrap it before you tap it.